All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Network. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me today, Connor Thomure. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, just enjoying some coffee this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Got my trusty old coffee here. So we're going to be covering your top 10 first basemen. But before we jump into that, just want to remind everybody to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave those comments, reviews, whatever. We appreciate it and I love hearing from you. And of course, jump over to Fantasy Six Pack, become an all access member. You're gonna get access to our award winning rankings, our draft cheat sheets, all of our other advice as well, our Discord. We've got DFS and betting advice all scattered throughout the site as well. So make sure you jump over there and do that. And jump in and Google the Fantasy Six Pack series. We're running a big league this year, fourth season for it, the Fantasy Six Pack series. It's run over there by our good friends at Fantrax. Jump over there and sign up, and we hopefully you guys can jump in and play with us. It's open to everybody. It's totally free. There'll be there'll probably be over 100 people total, a bunch of analysts from different sites, a bunch of Fantasy Six Pack people, obviously, and a bunch of fans. It's a good time. So yeah, looking forward to getting to that. But what I really look forward to is Connor's top 10 here. So let's jump in here. Start with your number one, Triston Casas. Starting here at number 10. Hasn't quite put it all together yet for a full, really good season, but man, the talent is tantalizing here, right? So that's why you've got him number
Yeah.
10.
Oh, yeah. The talent is definitely there. We've been waiting for him to just break out for years now. And in my article, I said, he's the biggest what if of the 2024 season. We were just
Mm-hmm.
expecting him to explode and, dealt with some injuries. And, overall, it was a productive 63 games that he put together. And now that's kind of why he ends up at number 10 is he only played those 63 games. He's still
Mm-hmm.
only 24 years old. So a potential left in there. And I'm expecting him to finish this year in the top 10 for sure for first baseman.
Yeah, the injuries was a bummer. The year before, he hit 24 home runs in 132 games, so you're hoping he could have built off of that, but kind of took a step backwards last year, even when he was
No.
on the field. So maybe he was trying to play through an injury. It's hard to tell, right? But K rate went up, which is kind of disappointing. So it didn't really live up to the expectations last year. Everybody was kind of expecting it last year. Um, but yeah, hopefully he can put it all together here. But let's jump over into your number 9, Vinnie Pasquantino, Vinnie P over there for the Kansas City Royals. Big power bat, we know that. But what else? What else do you like about him?
I also kind of like his contact rate. He does a good job of not striking out, not missing balls. When he swings the bat, he makes really good contact. His squared up rate last year, so the percentage that he squared up a ball was 31.7%, which that ranked in the 92nd percentile.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and his expected batting average was 266. So that's also really good, especially for a first baseman. He's not just all power; he does have that contact ability.
Mm-hmm.
Plays on a really good offense that just got Jonathan India this year, and it's
Yeah.
interesting to see how they're going to put together that lineup. But I expect Vinny P to be in a position to score a lot of runs and a lot of RBI as well.
Yeah, he had 97 RBI last year, a career high. It's weird. Like I say power bat, but like the power hasn't really quite shown in the majors to the tune that we would have,
Yeah,
I think, thought, right? So I'm looking back
not
at
as
like
much.
2021 in the minors. He had 24 home runs and 434 at bats. I mean, not like massive power, but like he hasn't come close to that yet. But I do think it's there. He just hasn't quite unlocked it. But yeah, definitely a contact hitter. Um, so you're just gonna get a good. It's almost like a good safe first baseman, really. Like it just kind of does a little bit of
Hmm.
everything for you outside of some steals. So, but
It
you're not
seems
getting a
that
lot of steals from first base.
no, not at
So
all, unless it's Goldschmidt in his prime.
yeah,
But
yeah. So
Yeah,
And
I
that's
mean, he only played 131 games last year too, and
yeah.
I know he was someone that was talked about a lot last year as, oh, is he getting drafted too high? Is he going to be worth it? And I mean, due to missing some time, I don't think he really was worth it.
Hmm.
But I mean, this year, I think he could be really good.
Yeah. So uh number 8 is a kind of a breakout player last year. Played in the most games he's ever played and hit 31 bombs. That's Josh Naylor, over 100 RBI. Just the complete package last year. Average, not so great. You would have hoped maybe a little bit more of 2023 carried over, but
Hmm.
what do we like about Josh Naylor?
You know, he is interesting because last year, I think when I looked at it, I want to say he was like a top five first baseman, maybe even like top four, top three. Like he was on the edge of being one of
Hmm.
the premier guys. And for the price that you got him for last year, and it worked out. It worked out for sure. Now on a new team, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I mean, he's got some good players there, but I kind of liked him better on Cleveland. I liked having Jose Ramirez in the lineup. I feel like they're doing good things there. So we will see exactly how it works out for him. I expect the power to stay. I expect the home runs and doubles to be up
Hmm.
still, close to like a 30-30 season there. And, that's really all I got for him there.
Yeah, I mean,
I
we've
think it's a
seen the
wait and see.
power. We've seen power play in Arizona pretty well. I mean, obviously Christian Walker, who he's filling in for, right, against the left, but um, it's a. I mean, I know he doesn't have a Jose Ramirez, but I mean, you could argue. I think it's pretty safe to say Arizona's got a better overall lineup. When you add Corbin Carroll, Marte, Gurriel, you know, Suarez mixed in there, if Jake McCarthy can play like he did at the end of last season for the whole season, that'd be great. Mix Josh Naylor right in the middle of all of that. I think you could get a big season out of Josh Naylor. I really do. So I think we actually could get a better season. Maybe he doesn't hit 31 bombs. Maybe he drops to like 27, something like that. I don't know. But I think overall, the complete package of the player could be better. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good one there. So number 7 here, the aforementioned Christian Walker. So leaving Arizona, what are we thinking here?
Now in Houston. So it hopefully he doesn't turn into Jose Abreu. I mean, he's much younger. He's 33,
Yes.
but it's got to scare everyone a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
not a whole lot, but I think he's going to be good again. I mean,
Yeah.
last year he took a step back compared to 2023, but he did miss some time. He played in like 27 fewer games. So if he played in those 27 games, he may have just put up the same exact number, 33 home runs, 86 runs, even put up 11 stolen bases, but that's kind of a one-off year for him.
Yeah.
The average stayed. I think I think we should just be expecting consistency, and depending
Hmm.
on the draft price, he might be, pretty safe option. He might have a good triple slash line and put up a lot of runs and RBI due to the surrounding offense.
Yeah, it looks like projections have him back up at like 32 home runs. Obviously, they're projecting more games, so you obviously project more counting stats. The average they have dropping right now, Steamer has him at 243. He hit 251 and 258 the last 2 seasons. So I kind of wonder where they get the batting average drop from like that, because he's been over that consistently the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Um, that one's kind of weird. I do look at something like his K rate, right, where he was at 19 and 19% in 22 and 23. Last year it went all the way up to 24. You know, that's something that maybe this is kind of he was trying something different, it wasn't working, then he switched back, and I haven't dug into it quite like that on this guy specifically, but that's something to kind of keep in mind when you're evaluating these guys for your draft. um I will say I am still super bitter that Baltimore let this guy go back in the day. I liked him as a player. Like every time he was like given a chance, it was like, I mean, he's pretty solid. I liked him in the
Yeah,
minors. It just, I don't know why they just like gave up on him. It was like, what? It didn't make any sense to me. Guy crushed in the minors for them, and then
I believe it.
they just gave up on him. It made no sense. Then he goes to Arizona, and like Arizona didn't even like really give him a chance at first, and then he gets in the lineup, and he's like, yeah, by the way, I'm good.
Yeah, and I
And
play
they were
really good
like,
defense.
yeah, it just, yeah, who knows? So, all right, moving on. Number 6, Spencer Steer, guy who I drafted in quite a few places last year just because he was super cheap and all the position eligibility. I had no clue I was going to get what I got out of him. And I don't think anybody did. That was a phenomenal year from Spencer Steer. You seem like you're sort of predicting that it's going to repeat.
Oh yeah, I definitely think it's going to repeat. It's tough to say whether he's actually going to play first base for the Reds or if he's going to be in the outfield. But he should still have the eligibility for first base.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's what I like. The multi-position eligibility goes a long way in a lot of leagues. So being able to plug this guy in at first base or outfield, or if they need to move
Last
him
year he
around
had like
anywhere.
everything.
Yeah.
I don't know what he
And
carries over this year. It looks like it's just outfield and first base, unfortunately. So he loses second, short. I think he had third. Like he had
third.
everything last year. It was amazing. I could plug him in anywhere. So, but yeah, he
Yeah.
was a great player last year.
All around too. He hit 20 home runs, 25 stolen bases, and 92 runs batted in. The surprising thing for me was that his WRC plus was just 96, which he had a pretty low batting average and on base percentage. Those were
Mm-hmm.
225 and 319, but the production was there. And I expect not just him, but the entire Reds offense to continue going up and up and up as they continue to mature and grow. And maybe someone like Ellie De La Cruz turns into the MVP, which that's just going to help carry Spencer
He's got
Steer
to
and these
stop
other
striking out like
guys.
a 40% rate for that to happen, I think. But he's got the talent, man. He's just got to
He
stop
does.
going to those massive slumps that he does. He terrifies me. But he
And
like at the end of the year, you're like, oh, he was awesome. But man, there are definitely times where he literally went like 0 for 50 the last like 10
yeah,
games.
felt
Like
like
that's what
it.
he
Yeah.
does, and it's brutal. One thing I want to ask you about for Spencer Steer. So you brought up like the WRC plus where it was a lot lower than you thought. When you really look at it, and I know this because I rostered him in a bunch of places last season. His first half was unbelievable. I'm looking at the numbers now. First half, he had 15 home runs, 14 stolen bases, hit 242. You'll take 242 when you're getting 15-15 basically from a guy, right?
Yeah.
50 runs, 60 RBI. Second half was brutal. I finally benched him. I had to because 5 home runs. The steals were still okay, 11. You're fine with that, but the 198 batting average, he was
hmm
striking out a ton. Um, any concern that like pitchers maybe figured him out, and maybe the first half was more of a fluke? It was just it was hard to play him
I'm
in
not
the
so
second
sure
half.
that it was just a fluke. Um, it's tough to really tell though what he was going through and what caused the drop in production. Part of me wants to just hope that maybe it's just his second year in the league and maybe some pitchers were figuring him out on one hand, and on the other hand, maybe he was getting a little tired, a little burnt out. He
Mm-hmm.
played 158 games, so maybe he could have used a couple of more rest games in there, rest days.
156 the year before, but
He did, yeah. So that one's tough. Not as much concern. I want to go and like pick him like super super early here. To only
yeah.
have him as like the number 6 first baseman. Uh, so I want to like reach and pick him a lot because there is a little bit concern that he might
Mm-hmm.
fall down like that, like he did in the second half. But to me, it's not a super big concern.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing you can look at is maybe he got a little unlucky. His BABIP was all the way down at 260, so maybe there's some regression back to the mean there with that. He hits a few more line drives instead of just popping the ball in the air. Maybe some more land, that kind of thing. So it's definitely a good player, all around kind of guy. So can't go wrong there. Talking about lack of steals from the position, here's one that could get you there. So
Yeah.
that's a plus. So Matt Olson, big time power bat here. You got him all the way down to number 5. I'm kind of
Well,
curious here.
first base is stacked.
Yeah.
As we'll see as we go through the top five, it's a lot of big names and big players here.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Olson is somebody that, for a while last year, he wasn't doing great. My brother specifically, he complained to me every single day. He's like, I thought he was the one. I thought he was all I needed, and he was going to carry me to glory. And for a while he didn't, but towards the late end of the year, he showed you why he is,
Yeah.
one of the best players in baseball. Through August and October, he hit 12 home runs and 16 doubles, scored 32 runs and 48 runs batted in.
Yeah.
It was remarkable. And, maybe I am putting a little low now that I'm kind of thinking about it. But, I mean, Ronald Acuna Jr. should be returning. That can only help out the offense.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can you say
You
about
get Ozzy
Olson?
Albies back. You get some of these guys back in that
Yeah,
lineup, and it hopefully will all come back together. Yeah, it was weird to see Matt Olson struggle as much as he did early on. Batting average kind of went up and down, yo-yoed. The power wasn't quite there like we expected. I mean, he still hit 29 total home runs. I mean,
yep.
but for a guy who hit 54 the year before, you don't expect a drop like that. That's pretty
Right.
massive. So I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce back from him. And projections do as well. Projections have him around 33 home runs. I'm not sure we're going to get the 283 batting average again. I think that's the thing that sort of is a little bit of an outlier for him.
Yeah.
So I think you can expect maybe close to like 250, maybe 260 at best. But you'll take that if you can get close to 40 home runs from the guy. So
Yeah, that's about his career average there too. Is 254 for batting average. So,
yeah. Yep.
do you think there's going to be a discount at all because of kind of a poor year for him?
Trying to think of where his ADP is right now.
It's still pretty early.
It is early, so I'm looking up. I did not have this ready. My bad. So we're looking at ADP right now for Matt Olson. Now, this is like a consensus ADP, so take it for what you will. Around 22, so not really.
Okay, not really at all. Yeah.
It's Yahoo's got him up around 12. Yahoo's ADP right now is really wonky. I talked about this on, I think it was the third base one with Corey. Their ADP is all over the place. It doesn't really make a lot of sense right now. So I don't know what's going on over there. I mean, like they have Acuna going at like number 2. Like that feels really strange. It almost feels like last year's ADP is being pulled, which
Okay.
doesn't make any sense. But
He went around 12 last year on
but
Yahoo. So
if you remove them, other ADPs are 27, 33, and 31. So second round, third round
yeah.
player, not
Okay.
that huge of a. I mean, it's a discount compared to last season for
Yeah.
sure, but you're still gonna have to pay for him because people are expecting the bounce back. So, and I am too. So, all right, number 4 here, Freddie Freeman. The old man just doesn't go away, man.
He really doesn't. He keeps showing to be that, he is like the guy for first base. And I know I have him at 4, but a lot of my friends were giving me trouble for putting him, at 4. They thought he could be number 1, number 2, but at some moment the decline's got to hit, and I'm not sure if it's this year, but we're close enough to it that it's making me nervous enough to not necessarily avoid him, just not pay the price for him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, and look, you can say we saw a decline last year. I mean, less power. He didn't run as much. Batting
No.
average dropped considerably. Like that was one of the things. It was like, man, you're getting an elite, almost league leading batting average.
Yeah.
From the guy. I mean, they dropped under 300. It went to 280 last year, which was weird. Like
Still really
it's not
good.
like he wasn't striking out a lot. It just he wasn't hitting the ball as hard. That's kind of what it came down to. So I think age is playing a factor in some of that. And so I don't think we're going to be looking at like a Jose Abreu type drop off, but would it shock me? Like, I mean, the dude's
Yeah, maybe closer to like
dude's
a Paul Goldschmidt drop
right.
off.
I mean, the dude's 35. I mean, it's getting up there, man.
The
So
run
that's,
production should still be there.
yeah, I think
I'm
running
expecting at least 80,
RBIs,
80,
still be there because, that the
probably
top of
90,
the lineup
90.
there is just too good. But if his say his batting average drops another like 5, 6, 10 points, what are we talking about here? We talking about like 18 home runs,
Mm-hmm.
talking 78 runs, 78, RBI.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a big drop off, and you are paying it premium for this guy right now, going as the number 3 first baseman off the board. You're still paying
Yep.
top dollar for this guy. So I am a little concerned for Freddie Freeman. I don't know if I'm going to have a lot of him, and I might regret it, but I think I'd rather be. There's a lot of other first basemen you can have that I think could be totally fine. I'd rather be out on Freddie Freeman too early, in my opinion, than draft him at this kind of price and you know
And regret it.
and
I
regret
agree
it
with you
big
there.
time. It's
Yeah.
I did it with Abreu. And maybe that's what's happening to me. Is I suffered the consequences of Abreu that season. He was just like trash. And you're like, oh no, what did I
Oh,
do?
and yeah,
So
if that batting average drops and the on base percentage drops too,
right,
that's when you see the guys like Naylor and Vinnie P or Spencer Steer creep up and surpass him, and you get
yeah,
those
because
guys for much cheaper.
the thing carrying him, right? So he's not like he's never been like he's done it like what twice over 30 home runs, what 3 times. So he's not a guy that I think you're drafting going like, oh, he's going to carry me in power. No, he carries
Hmm.
you in average or on base percentage. He carries you in all the other counting stats. He doesn't run. Like I don't think we're going to get the 23 stolen bases we got 2 seasons ago. That's just not his thing. But it was just like everything else. He's just the complete package, and he's just so good at everything that's what puts him up top. But man, yeah, you start taking away, just you take away. I mean, he doesn't get on base an extra like 60 times. That's a lot.
Yep.
That's going to add up. So, but let's get into your top 3 here. Starting off here with Bryce Harper.
So Bryce Harper is somebody that I wanted to rank him higher. I wanted to put him number one because I think he's the most talented first baseman. I think he's the best for fantasy, but he's not healthy ever. He hasn't played 150 games since 2019. And obviously, that excludes 2020. But still, that's 4 years of him not playing as much as these other guys have played, and that takes
Yeah.
a big toll on you. Um,
Availability matters, everybody. Availability matters.
it's the best ability, yeah,
So, and you know what? You're going to have to pay a premium for him too. He is the number 2 first
exactly.
baseman going off the board.
Okay.
And I get it. I mean, the dude is super talented, like you said. I mean, he does. He's Freddie Freeman with less batting average, more power.
Hmm.
Um, at this
And
point,
he could put up double digit stolen bases too.
he can.
He's
Yeah.
he did that 3 years in a row from
Mhm.
2021 to 2023. So
But that
he can
concerns
also
you
do
too.
that
Is
for you.
like, is he going to run and then like jam a shoulder or something? Because that seems to be
Mm.
like what he does. I had my
Yeah.
biggest knock on him early in his career was the fact that he almost played too hard when he played in the outfield. He played for the Nationals, right? It was like,
Hmm.
dude, you don't have to literally run through the wall every time. Like, ease up. Like, you need to be available for this team.
Yeah.
And he finally started figuring that out. And then he had obviously that massive MVP year. Um, but yeah, he just doesn't consistently stay healthy, which is a problem, a big problem for this. And the Phillies offense is completely different when he's not in it too. So
Yeah. Much
that's a
weaker.
yeah, it's a big deal. But yeah, Bryce Harper is definitely worthy of a top spot here. Pete Alonso. Here's an interesting one. Still does not have a home. So
No.
um,
That
landing spot could play a big deal here. I mean, I don't even know what the rumors are. I haven't looked them up lately. I know the Mets fans want him back big time, and rightfully so. But what, Pete Alonso, we know what he is, right? But I want to ask you what your thought would be, like, how would landing spot kind of change this, depending on where he goes?
So if he remains in New York, the Mets, I think that's a positive. I think that's probably one of the best places for him to stay, with
Hmm.
Lindor continuously getting better, and then now he brought in Juan Soto, and he's shown that when Pete Alonso's in New York, he's shown to be one of the best first basemen in fantasy baseball. I think staying there is your best case scenario. Some other teams I've seen are like, let's see, I'm looking on Twitter X right now,
I
and I think
saw an Orioles rumor. That would be an interesting
okay,
one.
that would be fun.
Randomly, just I'm googling it right now. Um, uh, or no, maybe that was just part of the headline. It had nothing to do with them. But that would be fun. I don't really think they're good. No. They were just talking about them signing somebody else. Bad headline. Um,
The longer we wait, though, the more it makes me a little bit nervous about it.
Yeah, I think he really needs to figure out how to sign here in the next week or two. Get in there before camp. We've just seen too many players that don't sign and really struggle, especially early on. Like, they're just not really quite there. But
Yeah.
everything's pointing toward the Mets. Honestly, it really does. Like, nobody else seems to really be super in on him for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason. Maybe he's just asking for too much money. I know his agent is Scott Boras, so surprise,
Give
right?
them the world.
Um, it's, uh, Scott, in my opinion, Scott Boras is a terrible agent. I know he gets his guys paid sometimes, but man, this game of playing chicken with the contracts, just I feel like lately has blown up in his face more than than the other way around.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to stop recommending this, because teams are not letting you win that battle anymore. So,
Mhm. Yeah, with Pete Alonso, I mean, if he stays in New York, there's a good chance we see 40 home runs again and
mhm.
100 runs, 100 RBI, and for the most part, he's stayed healthy in his career. He's I want to say, I think I wrote it down on here. Let's see. Oh no, I didn't put in there how many games he played. I thought I wrote that compared to the other first baseman, but he's played 152 games every single year since
Mhm.
2019, and in 2020 he played 57 games. I think that was pretty much all the games from that year.
Yeah, I want to say it was like
He's
58 or 59 games,
yeah,
somewhat. I forget what it was that year, but yeah. Yeah,
he's
no,
been
he's
consistent and
availability
reliable.
is there. The obviously people look at the strikeout rate and his weaker batting average. Obviously 2023 was just abysmal, even though he hit 46 home runs. 217 was just like, oh, that was brutal.
Hmm.
Got the batting average up to 240 last season. Um, you know, took away some of the power because of it. But honestly, I would rather take like 35, 36 home runs and a 240 batting average than 46 and 217. I can find some extra power elsewhere than having to try to make up, almost 30 points in average. That's average is a harder stat to make up, in my opinion,
I agree.
than just
And where
finding
he
cheap power.
where he dropped the home runs at from going from 46 to 34, his doubles increased. So he went from 21 doubles to the
Mhm.
31 doubles, which I'm fine with that. And obviously
Yeah.
hit a lot more singles because of the batting average.
Yep.
So yeah, I
Yep.
agree with you.
All right. So you're number one, and to no surprise, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, there's a real deal. What do we got?
he's just entering his prime years. He's turning 26 this spring, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him put up another year. Let's see here.
He's had the thing that gets me with Vlad, right, is we see him like either like start really slow or have like these really bad stretches in the seasons, and then like I don't know. He had obviously the really good 2021 season, right, where he hit 48 home runs, batted 311. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, like this dude's like like
The
legit.
deal. Yeah.
Never come anywhere close to that since. And so you're paying this like super premium for a guy, you're paying first round draft costs for this guy. And I kind of wonder, like, is it worth it? Because you're getting zero steals, right? Yes, you get some
Mm-hmm.
power, but like he hasn't cracked 32 since the 2021 year, right? He's only
Correct.
cracked 100 run or RBI once, and that's RBI's last season. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
run. Last year, the batting average finally came back, but before that, 274, 264. Like, I kind of wonder, is he worth the cost of that first round pick? And yeah, I just want to hear your argument on that.
Probably not, because there's a lot other guys I like in the first round more than him. I'd rather take, someone like let's see, who do we got here?
And,
Kind of
and
blanking on some
actually, now that
first
I'm
round
looking at it,
picks,
he
but
actually is going just outside the first round. He's
okay.
going like super early second round. So, um, you got guys like Tatis and Betts and Rodriguez and Lindor going just ahead of him. Those are the ties like right there. And then obviously all the big names up above. But so
Okay.
he has fallen just outside. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody reaches for him there on
Not at
that
all, no.
turn just to lock down first base and get it. Yeah, man. I don't know. Unless he could put together that like 2021 year, because with a guy you're taking that early that gives you absolutely no speed, you have to have like the elite from all the other categories, almost putting up like Freddie Freeman type numbers across the
Mm-hmm.
board to make a high almost first round pick worth it. I pass on Guerrero honestly a lot for it. Not that he's a bad player. I just, my draft strategy says I don't go for that. I'd rather get some power / speed early, and he doesn't give you that. It's why I also never have Freddie Freeman. It's the same, it's the same deal. Not that he's a bad player. Because later in your drafts, right? You want to pay for speed, you end up giving up a lot of power later for it, or you want to pay for power later, you give up batting average and speed later. So like, it's hard to find Spencer Steers in the middle of your draft a lot of times. There are guys that pop up, but it's harder to find them in the middle of your drafts. So I
Yep.
prefer to go after some of those guys who can give you both early, and Vlad's just not one of them. So
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. As far as like the early second round you were going, like someone like Francisco Lindor is much I would much rather have him than Vladimir Guerrero.
maybe pass on Lindor and trade for him in May when the manager who had him in April is cursing because he has like one home run and is
Yeah.
batting 220, because that's what he does.
Right. And then just tears
And
it
then he
up the
has an
rest of the
MVP
year.
season the rest of the year. So, all right. All right, Connor, that's it for our first base rankings here, the top 10. Go ahead and check out our full rankings. I've got mine up there right now. I believe you're going to be adding yours in a little bit later.
Yep.
But obviously these will change as the season approaches, but this is a good first early look at your top 10 first base. Thank you again. And everybody, make sure you hit that subscribe and like button, and see you all next time. Peace.